Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to a new episode of Windows. I'm your host for tonight, Muhammad Abdurrahim. Tonight we'll be talking about the Decent Life Haya Karima presidential initiatives, preparations and plans for the holy month of Ramadan, as the state, the non-governmental institutions, the charity institutions, and the business community is all putting all one hand here together to try and make all strategic commodities available for all Egyptians during the holy month of Ramadan, and to continue the development plans and schemes and efforts to alleviate the economic pressure on citizens, and to make for a very nice, prosperous month of Ramadan, inshallah, good willing. We'll be talking about Haya Karima, its great efforts in all sectors, really across all geographical areas of the country and in all sectors of the economy. And we'll also be talking about new developments here regarding the Egyptian economy, including the mega deal between Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, the Ras Al Hikma deal. And we have the great pleasure of having with us here tonight in the studio Dr. Moataz Abu Zeid, and he is a professor of economy and commercial law. A very good evening to you, Dr. Abu Zeid. Thank you for joining us, and happy Ramadan. Still some 10 days maybe or so, but we're happy to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Abu Zeid. So let's start, by what I mentioned at the end of my introduction, if you allow us, please. The Ras Al Hikma deal, the timing, the critical timing, the importance, the significance, the amount, how much will it ease the economic problems, when will the citizens feel the benefits of this mega deal?
Yes. Well mentioned from you, firstly, to talk about the deal of Ras Al Hikma project between Egypt and the United Arab Emirates. Of course, it must be mentioned that it's one of the points of a great chain of cooperation between the two countries since the beginning of the presidential interval of Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. And of course, this reflects a great confidence in the Egyptian politics and Egyptian economic system, and of course the Egyptian efforts, as you said, looking forward more economic development. According to the sequences of this deal or this project for mainly the Egyptian society, it must be mentioned that firstly, as you say, it's a critical time, and of course it's clear for all of us that it's not a problem of Egypt only. It's really a problem of all the countries, an economic crisis according to high prices of goods and supplies, lack of job opportunities for many people, even internal and outside the country. Of course, the purchasing power of many currencies all over the world had been decreased, and as long this is existed, of course, many countries will suffer great economic deficiency in these days. In all these conditions, if you can gain such a deal with a very huge number, many billions of dollars, as we heard about this project, of course, this says that there is a great effort from the Egyptian government to enhance this deal, of course, and on the other hand, as I said, the confidence that a great economy as the United Arab Emirates can put in Egypt, and on the other hand, we can observe how much it will change the economic map here in Egypt according to the new liquidity that can be pushed in the Egyptian market. Many job opportunities can be joined in this project. So of course, having such a mass project as this, of course, it will reflect that we are on the right path for our economic development.
Indeed. $35 billion, important for the currency crunch that was here in Egypt. We saw how the black market immediately reacted, and the dollar in the black market lost more than 1/3, more than 33% of its value. So obviously, before even the chunk of the money came in, because a little chunk from $35 billion has already arrived, 5 billion, I believe, and in 2 months everything will be complete. And the project itself is expected to yield investments of some 150 billion US dollars over the upcoming years, and create also, I believe, tens of thousands of jobs as well, right?
Of course, as you said, we had a great experience before, if we remember the project of the Alamein city. Of course, all these projects of the northern coast here in Egypt, this is a very promising region, of course. And since it was spotted on light after the project of Al-Dab'a, of course, this region, or this geographic region, was observed totally from outside Egypt, of course. Firstly, as I said, according to the project of Alamein city and all the developments that happened there, according to the real estate projects, new universities, and many projects that will absorb more job opportunities. So I think the project of Ras Al Hikma will be a development repeating for this successful experience as we made in Al Alamein city. Right. Number two, this place, I think, or I can describe it as a virgin place that it will obtain many projects that can be existed there, and of course many fields or many ways of investments. Yes, not only the tourism,
real estate,
yes, of course,
tourism,
yes, education, maybe an open market, maybe hospitals, as you said, and maybe a new port or a new airport.
There will be an airport
of
there.
course, and according to this, we can say that many sectors will reach the development or the re-enrichment of this important place. So according to this, and if we are in this economic crisis, can do this, so of course we can do more if there is more comfortable standards for the government, comfortable standards for the people.
Right.
So according to this, it will be an opening for new development.
Indeed, a big opening, and
yes.
And I want to jump from this to to Hayya Karima and to the efforts by the charity and non-governmental organizations and presidential organizations and initiatives like this. But one last thing about Ras Al Hikma, because I believe that what happened in the deal will even make the work of Hayya Karima easier, and will make it will allow it to have more money to work with, we believe,
of course,
because this means, doesn't it, Dr. Abu Zeid, that there is now confidence in the Egyptian economy, that of course we know the IMF talks are going to be finalized in the upcoming weeks, and the deal should be there in the upcoming weeks. So this will also give another boost to the Egyptian economy, to confidence in the Egyptian economy, and prove that Egypt is on the right track, right?
Yes, of course.
And that will make everything else easier for us.
Yes, of course. Showing what you said, firstly, we must mention that the Egyptian economy took a new trend since 2016, according to new
reforms.
Yes, of course, according to new strategies, or two main new strategies. Firstly, the liberation of the price of our country in according to the decisions of the Central Bank of Egypt, and on the other side, the strategy of the financial inclusion. Of course, these two branches reformed, as you said, the Egyptian economy, and the strategies of how can we take the next step here in our economic development. In the same context, of course, many mass projects here in Egypt, many investments, especially in the real estate sector, appeared in Egypt. And of course, on the other side, Egypt also pushes and encouraging many MSE enterprises, of course, and according to the new legislations in this partition, like the law of development of small and micro enterprises, of course, the law of protection of sensitive and personal data, of course, all these legislative infrastructure encourage many of these projects here in Egypt.
Right.
On the other hand, as you said, the new initiatives or the new presidential initiatives like Haya Karima, like Takaful and Krama, like Qadirun Bikhtilaf, all these initiatives that encourages many categories that were totally dismissed for many years. Of course, this will encourage the removing of or the new distribution according to the role of the participants in these initiatives. And of course, it's clear for all that it's not happened or it's not performed by the government only.
Right.
The governmental sector can share with a certain participation, and of course, as you said, the civil society and the private sector, of course.
Right.
So all these participants will make a new wave of the economic pushing for a new starting or a new opening, as you said, and of course having this liquidity, having these mass projects as Ras Al Hikmah will encourage or will participate, as all these sectors knew now what is their economic and their social responsibility besides their economic value.
Right. And Egypt was even when it was facing difficult economic times, Egypt was spending on social justice, on social solidarity, trying to make life better in the poorest areas, in the rural villages. And Haya Karima is perhaps the best example of such efforts. So the reason I mentioned Ras Al Hikmah now is because I believe that since the state's vision was to never let go of the poorest and to support the poorest, even in the toughest of economic times, then when things get better and when things improve as it is expected, there will be even more care for the neediest and the poorest.
No doubt, as you say, because there is many standards or many reasons for this. Of course, we are a country of a great population, and of course, after 2011 and 2013, the new political vision of the people can evaluate everything, can contradict everything, can express their opinions, and according to this, you cannot neglect the needs of the people. Of course, according to the social need, according to the economic need, of course, the standard of living for all Egyptians is a very big issue, and it was a very important project or an important strategy for the government since many years. And we must admit that the Egyptian government cut a very great distance in this track according to raising the standard of the Egyptian living, as you said, for the poor people, for the poorest people, for the regional places that was neglected for a long time, and of course for certain categories in the Egyptian society, as disabled people, as widowed women, as women that they are responsible for their families, and of course all these categories need a very great economy or a great strong economy to push or to encourage the initiatives that support these categories in the society. And of course, having this mass project will give a new hand for the Egyptian government to help them to perform these initiatives, and of course to re-innovate new initiatives that can help more sectors in the Egyptian society.
Yeah, and we already saw yesterday His Excellency, the President, in the yearly gathering with the differently abled.
Yes.
He already, dedicated 10 billion Egyptian pounds for the cause of the great sector of society, the differently abled, who really are much more able than most of us, and
of course there is a really difference in this sector nowadays, and we all observe that, of course, not only in the field of athletics or the sporting activities, but of course according to the education, to the healthcare, to even to the political participation. All this is observed nowadays, of course.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Abu Zeid, before we get into Haya Karima's preparations and the other, big organizations' preparations for Ramadan, let's talk a little bit about that great organization that came through a presidential initiative a few years ago, and tell us, how big it is and how many sectors or examples of the sectors that it is covering.
Haya Karima is a very great project, not only for being a new idea that we didn't use to see in our society, but of course it's a very promising project for the future of Egypt, and of course it may be a new project for the future of Africa, because it's very inspiring for many countries that try to take some parts of these initiatives to be performed in their countries, and of course this was clear in the last conference of youth held here in Egypt. This is the first point. The second point, as we said, the great opening of this initiative and the wide participation from all public figures in the Egyptian society, maybe businessmen, stars in movie stars, or maybe social leaders or civil society associations, of course, and the governmental sector. All these cooperation between all these sectors that I think that it didn't happen before, give a new evidence and a new proof that this will be a great step in raising the standard of living of Egypt. According to this promising opening of this initiative, it must be also mentioned that the internal information of this initiative. Firstly, we must mention that it will happen according to many phases. Firstly, it can cover some number of villages in many governorates, and of course the second phase will cover another number, and the third phase will cover the rest of the village in Egypt, and especially in Upper Egypt. They were arranged according to these phases, according to the poorest, and then the poorer, and then the poor, and this reflects that there were many studies or many graphs or many maybe surveys about all these social categories that need this initiative, of course. On the other side, Haya Karima is not only concerning giving people some money or to renewing some houses or something like this, but it had a very wide and deep participation in many activities related to the human rights of the people, according to renewing or rebuilding of schools, renewing of hospitals, of course the projects of the infrastructures, the irrigation, water irrigation,
clean water,
canals, of course,
sewage,
the paving of roads, all these activities included in the activities of Haya Karima initiative. So it must consider as a very great initiative, not only for the sponsorship of His Excellency our President Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, but of course for the details of these initiatives, that it reflects very new and very promising project.
Indeed, and it is targeting some 60 million Egyptians.
Yes, of course.
60 million Egyptians, that's almost 50% of Egyptians.
The actual population.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a project for everyone, and as you mentioned, the poorest, and then the poor, and then the poor,
yes.
And this is where it is going, and that it is covering many areas of life. I want to talk about the area linked to developing the skills of youth, and especially the girls, yes. And introducing them to the job market.
Of course, caring of the sector of the feminism here in Egypt society, I think it's now living its brilliant age in the presidential interval of His Excellency Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Of course, it's clear that he had a very great plan, or a very promising plan, for the participation of the Egyptian women in many activities. Firstly, as we saw, or as we observed, the great political participation since the revolution of 2011 and the revolution of 2013 and of course all the constitutional merits after that, like elections and referendums and all these political processes. Of course, the participation of women was remarkable and was effective, of course. The second point, the Egyptian woman herself proved that she is liable to participate in these activities, of course, according to her awareness, according to her courage, according to her patience, according to her intention to make a better tomorrow for herself and for her families. And thirdly, we can mention that one of the main great initiatives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, of course, encouraging the education of women, especially when he was naming a certain year. I think it was 2017, the year of the Egyptian women, according to opening more field to the participation of women. And one of these fields was the field of education. And of course, the field of education is one of the activities that covered by the initiative of Hayat Karima. And according to the invitation or the wide invitation for the youth to participate in this initiative, of course, it will create a new option or a new opportunity for women to have more space of education, to have more opportunities for work, and of course more opportunities to participate in this great initiative.
Right, Dr. Abu Zeid, and whenever I mention Hayat Karima, I can never forget that it was one of the first in the region to call for donations to the Palestinians.
Yes, of course.
And we all saw how from the very first day Hayat Karima was there, and the call, and then the act,
yes,
to send the goods and the trucks and everything. And when I talk about Hayat Karima, because we have to mention here that you know, Egypt is working, trying its best to send this aid for the just cause at the time where the Israeli occupation is killing people waiting to receive that aid.
Yes.
Just like what happened on Thursday.
Yes.
And this is, you know, would you like to comment on that? Because Israel has not just killed something like 30,000 civilians, mostly women and children, and injured something like 70,000 civilians, mostly women and children, or destroyed all of Gaza, or destroyed the hospitals, or the schools, or the mosques, or the churches,
yes,
and made life impossible, and starved the Palestinians.
Yes.
It is also killing those who are waiting for the distribution of aid.
yes.
This is inhumane. I mean, this is what we saw from Egypt's statement today. I mean, Egypt condemned, of course, what happened, and has been condemning what's happening. But Egypt, in a statement, in an official statement, described what happened as an inhumane act.
Yes, of course.
Because, I
of
mean,
course.
no one can believe that this could have happened.
Not Egypt only. Many countries nowadays believed that what happened in Gaza, of course, it's really genocide, no doubt. As you said, they are not killing only the people that are waiting for these aids, but of course they had many provisions or many restrictions not to reach these people, how to reach these aids, of course. And if they were not killed by the rifles, they will killed by poverty, by starvation, by being thirsty, of course, very, very miserable conditions in Gaza nowadays. On the other side, according to the Egyptian point of view, it's very hard nowadays to be very or so noble in the international relation, of course, and especially in this critical position or critical situation, of course. Yes, of course, no doubt. And according to, not only for the nobility of the message of Hayat Karima, but according to the role of Egypt, according to the Palestinian case, of course. It's a case of history and a case of destiny and a case of strategic security for our society and our country. No doubt Egypt had a great participation all over the history, according to the miserable conditions Palestinian people suffered for many years. One of the participations of Hayat Karima in the miserable condition in Gaza proved that as we said, the noble maybe the noble origin or the noble character of the Egyptian people, and of course the wise decisions of the Egyptian political leadership according to dealing with this changeable and this critical situation in Gaza. No doubt many people maybe asked for we can fight them, we can enter a war, we can kill all of the Israeli occupation people or something like this. But of course, having a wise decision in these situations is very successful and effective, especially not only for us as Egyptians and of course for the Palestinians themselves. Of course, no doubt having or welcoming the people of Palestinian regions in Gaza here in our country, especially for having treatment or in hospitals or something like this, and of course trying or pushing the aids to reach them in their country. All of this of course proves that Egypt is not calling for Haya Karima only for Egyptians, but they are calling for Haya Karima or nice or decent life for all the Arab people.
Indeed, and Egypt of course has peace with Israel, and Egypt respects its treaties, but the Israelis obviously do not want peace. I mean that is very obvious, the way they are dealing all around the region, the barbaric really atrocities, the war crimes that are committing. One of the best things I heard was name one crime, one war crime that Israel did not
do. Yes, of course, exactly. Of course. So, and it was enlarged nowadays.
And Egypt, of course, is working hard to try and reach a ceasefire before the month of Ramadan.
Yes. To eliminate the sequences of this problem or this catastrophe, of course.
Indeed, and hopefully it will be a permanent ceasefire. We're mentioning Ramadan. Go back to Haya Karima again. So, what is Haya Karima planning for Ramadan specifically, and what about the rest of the non-governmental organizations as well, or the charity organizations, the business, the private sector, the government? I mean, all of this collaboration. Yes. What is it that we have, prepared for Ramadan to make it a prosperous month, inshallah?
Inshallah, according to the preparation of Ramadan, and if it's not an item in the projects or in the schedule of Haya Karima, of course, according to the traditions and the properties of the Egyptian society, the holy month of Ramadan had a great expectations and a great preparation, even on the level of the people or on the level of the government. Firstly, according to the governmental efforts in this field, of course, we observed even before the new project of Ras Al Hikmah or the new refunding of the international fund, of course it was obvious that the Egyptian government tried hard to exist or to give or to facilitate the existence of the main supplies or the strategic supplies for this month, of course to redirect the markets, of course, according to forbidding monopoly, forbidding high or increasing of prices of these strategic supplies. And of course, according to these governmental efforts, Haya Karima as a very effective and very moving initiative dealing with the private sector, as you said, and of course the civil society, which can reach far points than the points that can the Egyptian government reach. And of course, according to this help or this hand that can be presented by these sectors, Haya Karima can join or can connect the governmental efforts to reach these people, have this advantage of these initiatives. So this collaboration can give this result to carry the efforts of the governmental sector to the poor people or the poorest people that can be included in this initiative by the efforts of youth participation, civil society, and of course the private sector that may have more free movement to reach these people more than the governmental sector.
Right. What about the distribution of the efforts geographically? I mean, because Haya Karima is not only working in the rural areas, but during a month like Ramadan, it and other organizations might be working all across the country. So what about the distribution of the works
I
of
think
such
the
organizations,
distribution
especially in Ramadan?
of the geographic regions will not be a problem, because the collaboration or the participation of many sectors, as you said, like civil society, like political parties, like government, private sector, can cover all the geographical region of Egypt, because every region, if you didn't find a political party or a branch of political party, you can find an association for civil society. If you didn't find an association for civil society, you can find a great company or a great private sector project here in this city or in this governorate. So, and all of them are working through their social responsibility. They had a participation in the initiative of Haya Karima, and they indeed want to participate in this great initiative. So according to this intention and according to the regional distribution all over the 27 governorates of Egypt, in every governorate or even in every city or in every village, you can find a terminal point for one of these collaborating sides, civil society or private sector or maybe political parties. And of course we can observe the movement of all these sectors, especially nowadays before the holy month of Ramadan, giving and providing these strategic goods and strategic supplies for all people.
All right. Now, Dr. Abu Zeid, and you're a professor of economy. Can you tell us what about the economic trends that Egypt usually has in Ramadan? I mean, the performance of the economy, the buying, the selling, the movement of goods, I don't know, the production, what characterizes Ramadan or the economy in Ramadan for Egypt in general?
We must mention that any economy may be affected by the rate of production, the means of production, the effort of the people, the manpower here in Egypt, and of course all these sectors may be slightly affected in the holy month of Ramadan, according to decreasing of some working hours, maybe according to some sectors of the manpower of here in Egypt may have some leaves or some holidays, or maybe a little working hours, as I said. And of course the time of worship in Ramadan take a more space in the Egyptian people's time, of course, and this will affect the reproduction, of course. But on the other hand, we can
the food and beverage sector usually does very well.
No doubt, it is a policy of Ramadan of each year. But no doubt that the governmental sector may seize this opportunity to put new programs, to put new initiatives, or to put or to make vision for new projects, of course, because all the Egyptians know that after Ramadan there will be a very great holiday for the Eid, of course, and after that we return back to work, and of course it will be a very good work. But I think, according, as we say, the original character of the Egyptian people, even in this critical situation for the Egyptian economy and this critical conditions for all of us, we may seize the opportunity of this holy month, and we can rebuild some projects, we can give some additions or contributions for the Egyptian economy. As we made before in 1973, we entered a war when we are on fasting, and of course we gained this war according to the intention of doing something for our countries.
Indeed, yes, and it's amazing really how the Egyptian people are so strong.
Yes, of course.
And even in the toughest of times, you find people smiling, you know, having hope.
Hopes, yes.
Yeah, always believing that tomorrow will be better. I mean, sometimes, you know, the people amaze you really with their belief, their strength.
Expectations, and yes, of course, yes.
And finally, maybe, I began with Ras al-Hikmah, I want to end with it as well. So we know that in Ramadan, and we already see now in many markets, many areas, outlets, you know, designated by the government, like We Are All One initiative and others, we see things with, you know, a lot of discounts, good prices, but this is not found, of course, all across the country. I mean, it's just in these outlets.
Yes.
So, when shall we expect, or when should citizens expect, because we are coming into Ramadan, and this is important, we're seeing the efforts.
Yes.
Maybe when we get out of Ramadan, things will already be, will have improved everywhere. But this is my question to you as an economist.
Yes.
When shall we expect to reap the benefits of such a deal like the mega Egypt UAE deal concerning Ras Al Hikmah when it comes to prices of key commodities here in Egypt? That saw a big inflation,
yes,
a huge
course.
inflation
yes,
in the past few months, and a couple of years, really.
According to these considerations, or according to these expectations, as long as the project is a current one, of course, this will have a reflection. No doubt, it's very hard to expect when exactly it will give its results or give its sequences. But according to the initiation of this project, this will be a great benefit. Of course, the continuity of this project, of course, it will be a great benefit. And of course, the new phases of this project, of course, it will give a new benefit. So I think starting with any beginning of the phases of this project can be considered as a new series of problem will be solved. Yes, of course. So we can put an eye on this project and its phases, and since its beginning, which I expect that it will be soon.
No,
yes.
There are already benefits,
yes,
before it even began. Like when we saw like the US dollar in the black market losing something like 35% of its value. So already the people are thinking, okay, you told us that because the dollar was going so highly and fastly up, that's why we saw high prices. Now it went down 35%. So when are we going to see prices of commodities go down?
This is
not necessarily 35%,
of course,
but at least come down 10, 15, 20%.
This is an indication that the high prices here in Egypt is not related to the price of dollars, of course.
It was exaggerated.
Yes, of course. It was exaggeration of some prices, exaggeration of some goods, and of course this creates this problem. Not only the problem of dollar, because many countries didn't suffer the same high prices which we suffered here in Egypt.
So prices will naturally come down.
According, not only for this mass project of Ras Al Hikmah, but according to the regaining back the stability of the market, according to the needs and the supplies, and according to
the timing is the thing that you cannot determine.
But according to the new liquidity that can be pushed in the Egyptian market, according to this mass project, of course it will affect, but mainly it will be depend according to the balance between the supplies and the need, and that's why providing these strategic goods here in Egypt before the beginning of Ramadan
and such initiatives,
of course,
like
will cut the road for monopoly, for black market, for all these violations to stop before Ramadan beginning.
That's why Haya Karima, we are all one. Solidarity.
Yes, individuals are the priority, or patriot is the priority. Of course, that's
why all of these are so important.
All these efforts saving the time or saving the situation till the beginning of these phases of this mega project, as you said.
Inshallah.
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moataz Abu Zeid, Professor of Economy and Commercial Trade. It's been a great pleasure having you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
And thank you, dear viewers, for watching us.